What's going on, YouTube? Thank you guys so much for being here. In just a few seconds, what's going on Facebook? I appreciate you guys too. We got to talk about this is Getty images of, I think, a congresswoman. I forget her name, Maloney or something. But, the new caste system, because this is being underreported. And amongst all the babble about politics and health, etc., they're not talking about how if you go to an event, this is happening all over the world at restaurants, at events, sporting events, everything. It's like if you're the elites or you're the person who's paying and you're the patron, you get to smile, right? Look at why she's smiling, right? Let's talk about her smile real quick. She's got a beautiful smile. I don't care if she's a Democrat or whatever. Beautiful smile. We're all humans. She wants to smile, right? Nobody wants to go out and wear this beautiful clothes and be like, it's like that's not who you are. They used to say that your brand and your identity is your smile. They used to say that, that is part of who your brand is as a human being. So she gets to smile, and then look at everybody in the background, right? Can I go home yet? Can I get my $20 an hour, 15? I don't know how much they're paying. Is this good? Can I keep the job? Did I pass the health regimen? Is this okay? Can I put that back down? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna smile. The elites will smile, the wealthy patrons will smile, but the workers, the working class, must muzzle their mouth and nose. What's the science behind that, folks? How come they can't answer? And this is the problem with all the censorship is, of course, there's idiots who say fake stuff, but mostly they hate critical thinking. Well, I have a question. That's science. You have experimentation. You have different scientists debate. They show equations. They show formulas. They show, the results and data, etc. And then they start having conversations about it. It's not like I am the chief scientist and all the other scientists must do that. You must not question me. That's not science. That's not any sort of intelligent society. And that's what they're doing. And when you face them on this, they have nothing to say because they don't know what to say because they're horrible people or they've got caught in some sort of thing that they don't even realize what they're doing. But what's the science behind her air being more important than their air? What's wrong with their air? Is this guy not as good as her? Is this lady not as good as her? Does she not allow? What's the science between, maybe if it's a Lollapalooza and Lori Lightfoot, the beautiful, the gorgeous 10 out of 10 dime, it's not about, let's not do that because she's also a strong, lady as well. But I'm just saying, the stunning Lori Lightfoot, when she has Lollapalooza in her city, they don't really want to report on the after effects. But if it's Sturgis and you got these big, bad bully, MAGA people or whatever wearing like leather jackets. And now all of a sudden it's a health crisis when they congregate, but not when do people not see this? It's like stay in your house. But the George Floyd's riots, that for some reason the science behind the spread is racism is more important than the climate change. And and people are like, yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, when you're hanging out with your family at a beach with 10 people, like that's totally spreading coronavirus. But when hundreds of thousands of people get in the street for George Floyd and burn down their neighborhood, I mean, the science shows that racism is a bigger threat than the virus. I mean, I read an article in the HuffPost. It's like people buy this crap. You're not better than anybody. This is the new caste system, folks. If you're an elite, if you're rich, if you're a patron, if you have enough money where you can afford to not have to work at one of these big corporations, you get to smile and walk around and show your face and be somebody. And if you're one of these people, you are the new, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what, where you can't even show your face, your smile, your identity, just because they're a photographer or they're working security or whatever they're doing at that event, catering, I'm not sure. Doesn't make them a worse person. It doesn't mean they shouldn't have an identity. I like to talk to people. I've gone to events. I'm not this cool. Okay. Equality for women's rights. I'm not this cool. Caroline Maloney or whatever her name is, but I'm pretty cool. I would say if she's like a 9 out of 10 cool, I'm just kidding. She's like a 1, but I'm like moderately cool. I've been to an event before, not the Gala, but I go out. I like to talk to photographers. I like to talk to everybody. I don't walk around like I'm so cool. Everybody else is below me. It's like, haha, look at me, take a picture. I'm like, yeah, you take a picture or whatever, but I want to chat with people. If you're a good person, I want to chat with you, but no, put them and then people try to talk to me and they're like, how are you doing today? I'm like, I'm doing good. You look ridiculous. You look ridiculous. You look like a clown. You look like a dog. Like you look like someone's walking their dog and the dog has a muzzle on it, but you're like a human. You look like a goofball. So first of all, I don't disrespect anybody because I don't care what you do. But at the same time, people try to have conversations with me in the mask and I can't even hear them. Like my waitress, I'm at Cheesecake Factory. I'm like, what? I'm like, huh? Yeah, I love the pumpernickel bread for sure. And I love the appetizer sampler at Cheesecake Factory. This is not an endorsement, but you get the 2 they got like avocado, like rollers. I don't even, whatever. I can't hear a word they're saying. It's like, I can't hear you. And I also can't take you seriously because I don't even know what you look like. Like it just sounds goofy. So it's the new caste system. And we have to really be strong about this because listen, I'm not going to say I'm her because I wouldn't wear that dress. I'm not like Jonathan Van Ness, although people always think I look like him, which kind of sucks. But anyway, it's like I'm not her, but I'm not being these people. I refuse to be this type of person, right? I'm not below anybody, but this is how they want you to be for as long as they want you to be it. What's the science? And this is what you have to ask your boss, whoever's making you do this. What's the science behind my air? Why is my air worse than their air? They don't have answers. And that's what you'll start to learn when you start to question these people. They don't get questioned very often. You don't have to quit your job and do a whole thing. Ask questions, stand up for yourself, be strong. There's nothing wrong with the question. For example, Ron DeSantis recently talked about, I'm gonna make a whole video about it. Ron DeSantis said, because he's doing fines for businesses who are forcing vaccinations, he said it makes 0 sense. And he said, because there's a data out of Israel, the Pfizer, one of the biggest case studies they've done in Israel, that says that natural immunity, according to their reports, not mine in Israel, Bloomberg reported on this, DeSantis talked about it. They say that natural immunity is actually possibly protecting people more than the shot. So Ron DeSantis said correctly, if natural immunity is that strong, I know we're still learning and it's still evolving, but why wouldn't they, at least if they were doing vaccine passports, why wouldn't they check for natural immunity if we have some of the largest case studies in the world out of Israel for the Pfizer shot? And they're saying that natural immunity is not only as good, but it might even be better. That's what they're saying, not me. Why wouldn't we include that in the back? Because it's not about science with these people. There is no science that says I'm wearing an equal rights for women dress while all the women standing behind me are not as equal as me. Someone said this is like the Hunger Games. I've never watched that television show, so I could pretend to be trendy. And I'm like, this is Game of Thrones all over again, folks. This is Breaking Bad with more meth. No, I don't watch television enough to really be trendy like that. But some people say it's like the Hunger Games. I would make that phrase to be cool. I've just never seen an episode, so I don't even know what it means. It's The Handmaid's Tale all over again, folks. It's Mean Girls. She's Lindsay Lohan, and these are the other chicks. It's Amanda Bynes. This is the cast of all that. I'm trying to fit in. I want to be cool, okay? I watched Tiger King. That's the coolest thing I've watched. I watched a little bit of Cobra Kai, okay? I watch sports sometimes, but I don't know all these shows. I can't make a reference about Hunger Games because I've never seen a damn episode. So I got to go back to she thinks she's Veruca Salt or something. I got to take it back to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Anyway, when you ask them these questions, they don't know what to say. Why is her air better than her air? Why is she wearing a woman's rights shirt, but they're women who don't have equal rights as her? They're not allowed to enter this event without a mask on, probably, because they're workers and she's a wealthy elite. So there is no equality of women's rights. How do they not get it? Why do I even have to be here? I mean, I'm grateful that you guys are so terrible in a weird way. God is great and has blessed me with an opportunity to not be a complete piece of trash. So I stand out. I look so great just because everybody else is shitty. That's not a brag. I'm sad. People are like, why do you listen to a rapper? I'm like, it is sad, isn't it? It is sad that I'm one of the more logical voices on the internet. I don't want to be. I'd love to be playing pickleball in a park somewhere. But I also appreciate the opportunity to be here and work. So I'm just joking. But seriously, it's I didn't ask for people to wear women's rights shirts and then stand by a bunch of women who the venue's forcing to wear masks. I didn't ask for you to be this wicked. This is so wicked. It's Satan's probably sitting on the corner and dang, I didn't even think of that. Just like a Pitbull said with Castro, he's dang. He's imagine if Castro could have had a virus, and that went viral and everyone got so mad. But the point Pitbull was trying to make was Castro was doing all these things to gain power. It's damn, if only he could have thought of this way to gain power. That's the devil sitting in the corner, man, I couldn't have even come up with something this wicked. Equal rights on a dress, and you're standing there smiling and there's a bunch of women who are less equal than you who can't smile because they're being forced to put cloth over their mouths, or else they can't go in the venue because they're being told that that's going to protect people from coronavirus. However, the elites can, breathe freely, and that's okay. Do people think anymore? Or have they been brainwashed by the media to think critical thinking's bad, asking questions is bad, doing real science is bad? Finally, Sanjay Gupta, I like saying it like that just to give it a little, no disrespect. We love everybody here, but like Sanjay Gupta, it just sounds more fun. I like to hype it up. Anyway, he asked the question to Dr. Fauci, the question I've been wondering. Thank God he actually did that on CNN. And he said, what do you think about that study? I did a whole video on it. What do you think about that study, Dr. Fauci, out of Israel that says that natural immunity might actually be better than the Pfizer? I mean, he's like, I'm just saying. And then like Fauci's like, yeah, that's a good, he's like, that's pretty, yeah, we should talk about that. Yeah, it's like they don't get asked real questions. Everybody thinks because all of the television just says, believe. That's not how vaccines even work. I'm sorry. I don't care if this is an mRNA jab or the Johnson & Johnson or the tetanus shot. It doesn't act like you make it and nobody can question it. It's great. Who cares what happens in 3 or 4 years? Who cares about the data? We're learning as we go on. It's not a bad or good thing. It's just how things work. If you want to have more and more data over the course of 4 or 5 years, usually they take 4 or 5 years to even release it to the public. This one was released so quickly. In my opinion, that's okay if people want to get it. But also you have to understand the reason the data is changing so much and the reason their opinions are changing so much and the reason the World Health Organization says no booster shots right now, give it to poor countries. And Fauci and Israel are saying, no, we do need the reason that they're disagreeing with each other is because it's still so new. They're learning as Israel vaccinates their whole population, as they give the triple booster. I use that example not to be rude or mean because that's a great case study. They're only using the Pfizer. So they have like great data of the FDA approved jab in America, the Pfizer one. So it's like we're learning and it's not like, oh, I want a cure. Here's the cure. I created a cure with cancer. You can't question it. You have to get it. If you don't get it, you're a conspiracy. That's not how science works. Who told you that? Did Trevor Noah tell you that? Did Jimmy Kimmel tell you that? Did Jimmy Fallon tell you that? Did these stupid celebrities not? Who told you that that's how science works? It's so good you can't question it. It's so good you can't ask questions. It's so good you can't not get it. That's how good it is. I just created a chocolate bar. It's called the You Must Have a Chocolate Bar. You got to get it. And if you're not hungry, you eat another one. And if it doesn't satisfy, you have a reaction. You still have to get it. You can't come to the store. You got to wear this and got to wear a mask. It's like, that's not how science, it's not how anything works. It's not like you just do it and everyone has to get it. And it's so great. Someone made a tweet. I want to say it was Harrison Smith. And this is I'm just reading a tweet aloud. I just found it an intriguing question. He just said, imagine, and we're going to create a hypothetical world here, folks. Let's call it Smurf. Instead of Earth, we'll call it Smurf. We're going to create a fake world and just give an example, okay, outside of this world. Imagine if you got the tetanus shot and you got tetanus after you got the tetanus shot, and then your doctor told you, oh yeah, you got tetanus after the tetanus shot. The reason you got tetanus after you got the tetanus shot is because of people who didn't get the tetanus shot. Has that ever happened? I understand coronavirus is different than tetanus. I understand that. It doesn't really happen because most people don't get tetanus after they get the tetanus shot. If most people started getting tetanus after the tetanus shot, or 30, 40, 50%, whatever it is, got tetanus after the tetanus shot, 20, people would probably start getting suspicious of the tetanus shot. The reason most people aren't suspicious of the tetanus shot is because almost everybody's gotten a tetanus shot or a vaccine at one point in their life. And most people who got it never got tetanus, so they don't think to question it. Same with the polio vaccine. People never had to question it because, some people obviously do, and some people don't believe in it, but it was never this forced sort of thing. And most people who got it never got polio or never got sick or injured, so they didn't really think about it. And people who had a bad reaction, then they started questioning. That's real science. It's like, well, I know somebody whose arm doesn't work, but I talked to somebody recently, my friend who's 80. He said, I've gotten 15 flu vaccines. So I got this vaccine because every time I got the flu vaccine, I'm fine. That's a real world study. I'm a person. I got the flu vaccine 15 times. I feel great. I'm going to go get that one. That's totally okay. Or I don't want to get the flu vaccine and I'm just not going to get it. That's real science. It's not science to be like, well, you're getting the disease we told you that this is going to protect you from, but it's still going to protect you from severe illness. And if you don't get it, you're a horrible person who can't access society. And then we're going to let people wear equal woman shirts at the Met Gala because they're politicians. And then people behind them that are the gender that they say that they're equal to are not equal to them because these people are not rich and famous enough to go to the event without putting a cloth over their breathing holes, which is incredibly embarrassing, incredibly demoralizing, and to be quite frank, regardless of what they say, very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like wearing it on a plane. I can't imagine having to wear it for 5 or 8 or 9 hours. And I feel terrible for the people who do that. And by the way, even if you're a barista or even if you're still a person, see that? That's my facial expression. Am I happy? It's part of who you are. You smile, you make other people happy. You talk, you make other people happy. You put this over your face, they're stealing your identity and making it uncomfortable for you. I'm sorry. This is not normal. This is not scientific. And the more you ask questions, the less answers they have. They're hoping that people get brainwashed into thinking that questions and critical thinking is bad. Oh, it's so bad. You can't question this. You can't question this. They're like the overlords where it's like, we're going to say this and you just have to believe it. And if you don't believe it, we're going to punish you and take away all of your stuff and banish you from society, no matter how true it is or not. These are horrible people. And they started doing this a little bit with climate change years ago, where as far as is the climate changing, I don't think that's debatable. I would say I agree that it's settled science that the climate changes, right? Winter, summer, spring, fall, ice caps melt, ice caps grow. The climate is always changing. Today it's sunny. It might rain in a week, So climate change is real, no question. But as far as how is it changing? Why is it changing? Obviously, there's equations and stuff that they do, but they've been wrong many times. Al Gore, he quoted scientists and he referenced scientists saying, well, the ice caps are going to be gone in the 2000s. He was wrong about the date. In the National Glacier Park, they had signs that said these are going to be melted by 2020 to scare everybody and fear monger everybody. And if you search, there's a CNN article that says they had to go change the signs in 2020 because the ice caps weren't melted. The Jacob Chavin Glacier is often known as the world's fastest or quickest melting glacier. They have different nicknames for it. Google it. The Jacob Chavin Glacier for 3 years was growing, and growing. It wasn't shrinking, it was growing. And they told you in National Geographic, they said, the world's fastest melting glacier is growing. And here's why that's not a good reason. Here's why you have to believe that's bad. It's growing to shrink again. And it's like, yeah, it's you're right. Climate change, it's changing. I agree. But you're not right about everything all the time. Sometimes you make bad predictions. You're not God. You don't control the sun. You don't control the glaciers. You don't control the volcanoes. You're not as smart as you think you are. You think you're so smart? Go out to Big Island, okay, in Hawaii, and go sit under an active volcano and start a research facility there and study volcanoes. You might be good, but if you choose an active volcano at one point, you're going to play yourself, and that's going to explode. It happened to my friend in Big Island. He lived in the Puna area. His house is under volcano. You know why? Because they pray in Hawaii, Pele, the volcano god, regardless of your religion or your beliefs, the volcano is more powerful than a human. And unless somebody has a remote control somewhere, probably not, it's outside of our control. And so are certain things like the sun. And so are certain things like glaciers. Yes, we can impact it. Obviously, we have an impact on this earth and we should stop polluting and trashing everything and be smart. But there's nothing smart about what Democrats are doing. Oh, we're going to do this, but we're going to get rid of nuclear energy. It's like nuclear energy is cleaner than they say. And now they don't have enough energies for people's houses. This is the type of people that are running the show. Equal rights for women. I get to show my face. I get to smile. I look so pretty. Ha, ha, ha. I'm a social justice warrior. Excuse me, ma'am. Do you want any more water? I can't even laugh or show my face or smile. I'm a complete nothing. Oh, but we're equal. I'm fighting for you. Can I at least breathe like you? Well, no, you have to wear a mask. Why do I have to wear a mask? And you don't ask these questions. What are you watching, QAnon conspiracy theories? Well, no, I'm actually a Democrat voter. I voted for Joe Biden. I'm just kind of curious why my air is different than yours. Oh, you want to ask a question? What are you watching? Tucker Carlson? You watching the white national, and broadcast on Fox News? No, literally, I sit home and watch Tom and Jerry's and eat Ben and Jerry's all day. And watch Jerry Seinfeld. I have a weird obsession with Jerry's. I'm just curious why I can't even smile and breathe. But I'm fighting for equal. These people are the worst. How do people vote for people like this? I wish I could call it the Hunger Games. I've never seen an episode. What is the Hunger Games? I don't even know. To me, it sounds like a hot dog eating competition in Coney Island. You ever heard of Kobayashi? That man could probably eat ice cream too, but he could eat hot dogs. You ever heard of Joey Chestnut? Well, you're not a real athlete. Joey Chestnut is an American guy who just chomps down hot dogs all the time every year and wins competitions, okay? I love all sports, including world eating competitions, but that is, in my head, that's what I think of when I think of the Hunger Games. I'm hungry, give me some hot dogs or whatever. Apparently there's a whole other show where they're doing crazy stuff. I don't watch these things. Game of Thrones, never seen it. And I'm not trying to act like I'm so cool. I'm just saying I don't know what it means. I just think it's messed up when you have, and it's not just congresswomen. It's like when I go to a restaurant, they all have to wear masks. It's like I'm not better than you. Okay. I've washed dishes before. I'm too clumsy to serve, but I've worked in I worked at a pizza store and I was the cashier, and I've worked in food. I've never been a server, but like I've washed dishes before at an Italian restaurant. I don't think I'm more special than you. It's like, I want you to take off your mask just like I'm taking off my mask, because my air is not better than yours. My nose and mouth is not better than yours. My smile is not better than yours. You deserve to be equal. That's real equal rights from women. Take the mask off these ladies, because these are air supremacists, vaccine supremacists. And the more they get asked questions, the less they know what they're talking about. I have a video later where I'm going to reference, Governor Ron DeSantis, where he says exactly that. He's doing, in my opinion, a great service by saying, you're not allowed to discriminate based on people's vaccination rates. Everybody who wants to get it got it. People who don't want to get it aren't going to get it. And in general, if this was really, I don't believe in a passport, because it's really just like a train to, a communist like QR code scan system where we're never free again. But in general, if this were like common sense science stuff, where it's like, okay, we really want to make sure everybody's safe, I still wouldn't agree with it ethically, but it would make somewhat sense if they said, well, you have antibodies and natural immunity, so we're going to, you have an excuse for this, whether it's an exemption or like maybe you had a bad side effect from something else, and we're going to give you a pass. We understand why. Or like, you have the antibody. They're not checking for it. They don't care. This isn't science. This is just straight tyranny. Get the product. We don't care about the science. We don't care about the math. We don't care. That's who they are. They don't care about any of this stuff. And when you question them like Ron DeSantis, or you question them like Sanjay Gupta on CNN, they give you their honest answer. And their honest answer is they're not even really that sure, because they're not used to being asked questions. They're used to just being dictators. Someone said everybody poops. That's disgusting. Come on. Not everybody. I've heard that women don't. That's what they used to tell me when I was younger. But anyway, appreciate y'all. God bless you. I'll probably answer a few questions, and then I'm going to keep it short and brief. I'm probably keeping it under 30 minutes. So let's get some good questions in. Let's see. Anybody? Let's see. Someone said The Hunger Games is an adult young fiction book series that was adopted for a film. Read it. It's good. I like real stuff. I'm going to read the story. I'm going to read a book called, Equal Rights for Women, a Gala story. And I'm going to read about this. But no, I've heard it's good. I've read fiction too. But in general, I'll try to get into it. I'm sorry, I'm not cool. Someone said, I've never pooped before in my life. Yeah, I feel you. I believe you. I'm just kidding. But someone said only the people in the masses can stop this. Yeah, but it's called non-compliance, right? They're already doing it. There's already people in Hawaii. There's already people in New York who are just saying, I don't participate in this beast of a system. That's how you win. I'm telling you, folks, don't get angry. Don't get fearful. I see a lot of people that are activists, right? Getting angry, getting fearful. That's part of the system, because you're irrational. When you get angry and when you get fearful, you start to, get irrational. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to rise up and do it. Like, seriously, just stop participating in the beast system. That's all you have to do. It sounds easier than, it might be for some people, but also anything in life takes discipline. I use this example, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, but, my family came to America at a certain point. My family wasn't born in America. They made a decision that it wasn't prosperous in Italy. It wasn't prosperous in Poland. And somebody from my family decided to come to America because there was more opportunity and more freedom. I'm not saying people have to leave. I'm not saying you should have to leave. But unfortunately, I think like at a certain point, things aren't supposed to be comfortable. I'm not trying to act like it's all, everybody has their own path and own journey. But for me, when I look back when I was 19, 20, 21, I always had a good work ethic, but I felt like although there were great people in my life, nobody ever helped me. I didn't really have a family that knew that much about music or anything. And, nobody helped me. But in my opinion, that's a blessing. That's why I worked so hard. That's why I fell so many times. That's why I had to figure out what I was doing. If people would have just kept helping me all the time and doing everything for me all the time, I wouldn't be as strong as I am now. I wouldn't be able to edit videos. I do my own Photoshop. I'm not great at it, but I'm functional because I had to learn because no one else did it for me. So that's kind of like the vibe I'm taking into this is like everybody wants something. Like it's not just the left that wants a handout. People on the right want somebody to save them, or it's like at a certain point, you don't have to get angry. You don't have to get fearful. Someone said God is love. I agree. But in general, it's like just don't participate in this beast system. If these people, obviously they want to be there. If all of these people didn't show up, there is no event. They need you. The truckers, the drivers, the nurses. It's like they need the people. And at a certain point, people are going to have to say no. And it's already happening. Don't just read the negative headlines. It's already happening where there's certain places that are losing because they're not allowing people to do certain things. And certain states are going to lose. Certain cities are going to lose. In my perspective, New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, these are like hellscapes. That it's like they can, if they want to act that way, if you're stuck in LA, it's like you're living in a hellscape. So it's going to drive. But if you leave, it's like at this point, I mean, I don't really care what you do. Just leave me the hell alone. So it's, I don't think Ron DeSantis cares what California is doing. Oh, we're going to cut travel from Florida. Sure, whatever. Like people will still come here because we provide opportunity and we provide freedom, and they have no income tax, which is awesome. So eventually these wicked beast systems are going to play themselves. Just be patient, be calm, and don't participate. And, it might get weird, but if enough people are strong and true to themselves, it won't get weird. It's easy. It's so easy. It's just like everybody wants to participate a little bit and everybody wants to, watch and wait for someone else to do something. But, that's my thoughts on that. Real quick, the recall elections today, I forgot about this. So California has a recall election, and it's crazy because I voted today and I left the house and I voted in person. I had my ballot, but I was like, let me go vote in person to make sure nobody voted for me. And I went in person and I forgot my wallet, right? Because I live in California. I forgot my wallet. I'm like, oh, I got to go get my wallet. And I wanted a coffee, but I was like, oh, wait, I don't have to get my wallet because there's no ID for voting in California. Seriously, people don't realize in other states, and some people think this is normal. I'll give my perspective on it. And I was like, I don't even have to go get my wallet. So I went to, and this is what they do when you go to vote. They ask for your full name. I give them that. Or they ask for your last name, your first name. And then they say, what's your address? And I tell them my address, and then I go vote. It's that easy. It's too easy. I'm sorry. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't make up fake stuff, but I have to show an identification to go to a rock concert. I recently got invited to a concert. It was like Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy, and I was on a guest list. They said, hey, who are you here? Who are you here with? I gave them the name of the person that invited me, and they said, can we see an ID? So it's easier to vote in California than it is to go to a rock concert. Are you kidding me? I can't even buy alcohol without. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. It's way too easy to vote in California. I'm glad for the convenience, I guess, of leaving my wallet, but I would have much rather have drove back home to get my wallet and my ID to go vote. So that's a nonsense system. And I do think that with the mass mail-in ballots, I'm not going to make up theories or something, but in general, it's like you're sending a mail to everybody's house all over the place, whether it's old or new, whether it's outdated or not. And technically, all somebody has to do is sign it and send it off. And are they going to audit the, signatures? Are they going to audit every single signature to make sure because that's what I have the mail-in ballot too. That's all it was I put my signature. I put my first name, last name, address, whatever. I vote, and then I would mail that out and they would count that vote, whether it was me or not. So, I mean, they try to paint this picture. And that's why I'm so upset at the way the Capitol went, because it was, to me, a setup event the whole time. I'm not going to get into it for a lot, but, Trump was on Twitter, and after the election, this is why I was totally uninterested in it after a certain amount of point. I was thinking, like a lot of people, well, I think he has a path to victory. I think, there have been situations in the past where, they've been voting and figure stuff out and court system stuff. So I'm like, maybe we could pull this off. So I'm watching, and Trump's just on Twitter and he's saying Moderna, Moderna, Moderna. After the election, he sold the vaccine in hyperdrive. He wasn't even that bad in 2020. After the election, every other tweet was Moderna. I pushed the FDA. I did it. He turned into vaccine man. I started calling him Grandpa Moderna, the vaccine salesman. Never started getting mad. I'm not being mean. I'm just being funny. But also, he is a vaccine salesman. I mean, he shoved that down my throat harder than Bill Gates did. He's like tweeting. I'm like, so I didn't trust him. I was like, if you want to claim you did it, that's fine. But if you want to sell it to me every day like a used car salesman, I don't trust you anymore. You're just like a politician, pharma salesman. So anyway, he told everyone to come to that event, and him, people like Lynn Wood, et cetera, was getting people all riled up thinking Mike Pence was going to overturn the election. Listen, I'm not a Mike Pence fanatic. I think he's a career politician, but I'm not foolish enough to think that Mike Pence is going to overturn the election on January 6th. People are still mad at me for this. And there's a reason I'm talking about it. I'm going to get to a point. People are still mad. Oh, he could have done it. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry that Trump or someone told you that Mike Pence was going to save your life on January 6th. That's ridiculous. So I was calling BS on this like a month before, and everyone's getting, you're not a real patriot. You're not a real patriot. I'm like, guys, just because you like Trump doesn't mean Mike Pence is going to save your life on January 6th. So everyone goes to this goofy setup event. And most people who went, whether they enter the Capitol or not, most people had their lives ruined and had to deal with a lot of bullshit because they followed their idol to, the vaccine salesman to the Capitol setup event. So I just find it very suspicious. I'm not saying anything. I just find it weird that now all this real conversation that needs to be had about voter ID, et cetera, is almost impossible to have because they have this event where every Trump fanatic, got set up by the feds or by their vaccine salesman leader and got in trouble for breaching the Capitol or whatever. Now everyone's responsible and it's everybody's fault. I just find it very strange because it is a real conversation that needs to be had that now we can't have. And it's a double-sided conversation where I'm starting to realize millions of people don't want to vote. And it is what it is. I can't tell people what to do because I think both parties are corrupt. I think Biden and Trump are both vaccine salesmen, and many things happen whether each party wins or not. I still vote, though. I still think it's important because even in the Trump election, say what you want, I think there's real questions to be had. But in general, hundreds of Republicans won. In my district, many Republicans won very close races that are very, very important. So this idea that it doesn't matter at all, maybe, but I think it does. I mean, as much as Ron DeSantis is not a perfect politician, I think him winning against that Democrat was perhaps the biggest election in the last couple of years. Because if he didn't win Florida, imagine if Florida had a Bill de Blasio type person who was locking Florida down. This country would be a lot more like Canada than it is here. And even more than, I would say, Trump being in office. I don't even think Trump did that much at all with his power. I think Ron DeSantis did more than Trump did to push back against the narrative. To be fair, I even think Elon Musk did more to push back against the narrative. He was way earlier calling out this stuff and saying that we needed to be free than even Trump was. So, if all these people, and the reason I'm saying that, some people are like, I'm not going to vote anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore. And then these are the people that are like anomalies working for Democrats because he calls Trump a vaccine salesman. I'm like, I'm a registered Republican and I'm telling people to vote in the recall election. You guys are telling people not to vote in elections where we can actually win. It's not likely. Gavin Newsom's an 8-1 favorite, but this is the only chance we have to get Gavin Newsom out. Is there going to be some funny business? Probably. We've already seen it. There's already been reports out of KTLA and stuff where they're saying that, people had, but if it's a little bit off, I still think it's possible. I'm not going to say I'm going to be like, oh my God, I don't really care either way, but still, Republicans have won elections. So I think in my opinion, it's a double-edged sword of understanding both parties are printing trillions of dollars. Both parties are selling vaccines. There's certain things that aren't going to change, but there's certain things that are going to change. So I think locally, it's very important to vote for the candidate you think is best because I think it makes a huge, huge impact, perhaps even bigger than the presidency. I think, DeSantis and Newsom had apparently more power than Trump or Biden. They seem to do whatever they want and no one's able to stop them. So I think it's very important. But also, I think it's important if Larry Elder wins or Gavin Newsom wins or Donald Trump wins, I think it's important to hold them accountable. And that's where people are kind of losing me, where it's like you have people that don't want to vote at all and act like it doesn't matter, but then they don't want to hold Donald Trump accountable. See, I think it's backwards. I think you should vote. I actually voted for Trump. People think I hate him. I voted for him. I helped him for 3.5 years just out of my own free will because I thought he was doing the right thing. But I still want to ask him questions. I'm not like a professional fan where if I vote for him, it's like, well, now you're doing something weird that I don't like, and I don't have to pretend to like it. He's not my idol. He's not my God. He's not my father. He's not, my pastor father. It's like he's a politician, businessman who ran for president, won. And if he's being a weirdo in certain aspects, it's okay to hold him accountable. So you have a lot of people who are like, Capitol event, Arizona audience, everybody who doesn't agree with me is like terrible, but I'm not going to vote because it's totally rigged. And if you ask Trump a question, you're a Democrat. It's like, to me, that's all backwards. I mean, and everybody has their own opinion, but it's like, I still vote Republican. I'd vote for Trump over Biden. However, I'd rather vote for DeSantis or Rand Paul or anyone. But also, I don't think Rand Paul or DeSantis are perfect. They're not my best friend just because I vote for them. It doesn't mean I don't see what they're doing. That's sneaky. I just think we need to be transparent and talk to them. Talk to them like they're real people. With Trump, it's become a double-edged sword where on one hand, Trump has done more than any Republican, so he has a big fan base for a reason. He's super funny. He's super likable. For 3.5 years, and even now, he's super real. He's very honest and blunt. He deserves all of this crowd he has. But the con side of that, and he called out the media. He did all this, this stuff. But the con of that now is he's become a godlike figure, whether people want to admit it or not, to a lot of the right, where all of these right-wing accounts that I follow, although them ethically, morally, legally, etc., they don't act how Trump acts, and they don't just sell, pharmacy products all the time. They would never do that. If they did that with their Republican influencer page, everyone would call them a sellout. Everybody would call them controlled opposition. But when their idol does it, hey, it's like this unspoken word on the Trump side. You don't question Trump. You don't talk about it. You act like it's not happening. You spin it and act like it's great no matter what happens. And it's like it's starting to become a real big con because now we can't even address our own. So that's my thought. It's like I see certain people on Twitter telling people not to vote. Don't vote. Don't vote. It's like, if you want this country to be Australia or Canada, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, don't vote. Let Democrats take over everything and you're going to be locked down for the rest of your life. Or do a multifaceted thing. Try to get voter ID. Try to get rid of mass mail-in ballots. I do think it's sneaky. Try to do whatever you can in your states or any state to make this election more fair and have a convincing argument and let people know why the election is not as fair as it could be. Do all of that stuff. Do an audit. Do whatever you can to make it a fair election. But then at the same time, it's like a double-edged thing. Do what you can and then make a move, and do what you can and make a move. Don't just give up and unless you want to and just say it's all corrupt, whatever. But I don't know. I live in a conservative county. It's 1,000 times better than Los Angeles. 1,000 times better. Our politicians are better. Our policies better. Our county sheriff is better. Our businesses are, everything about it's better. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend, as much as I think the Republican Party on a national scale is sneaky and corrupt, and at the end of the day, they sold us out the river. Locally, I feel very strongly about my community. I love them. We have a good set of police officers. I can't speak for all police everywhere, but in my area, we have great police and everyone likes them and everyone likes our community and everyone likes America. And to be honest, I want to keep it that way. I'm not going to act like it doesn't matter. It does matter. And, I still vote. But on a national scale and in general, there's a lot to be said about this voting pattern. But to me, it reminds me of like a game like, say, social media. I know that the people who run these sites, they're not a big fan of mine. Maybe they are, but probably not. I know the game, like life is not fair. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse for the elections because I think we should make them more fair. I think identification is a must. The mass mail-in ballots, no ID is a recipe for disaster. But in general, life's not fair. My life's never been fair. It just drives me that much harder. So if the machines are so terrible, how did Donald Trump win in 2016? I'm not saying you shouldn't look at them. I'm just saying he won in 2016. Ron DeSantis won in 2018 or whenever he won, and hundreds of Republicans won in 2020. I'm not saying it's perfect, but you get what I'm saying? It's like clearly whatever they can or can't do, it can still be overpowered if you get enough people. If you can get 70% of the public on your side, it's not going to be easy. But that's how I'm thinking. Life is not fair. This is not going to be fair. So we have to work that much harder. We have to be that much more better. We have to be that much more convincing. That's how I think personally. Some people say, I don't like any of it. Okay. But then this is my question is like, are you going to not vote when you move? If you leave a liberal city or a liberal area and you move to somewhere Republican, are you going to act like it doesn't matter? If it doesn't matter, then just live in a liberal area, I guess, right? If it doesn't matter, then move to San Francisco. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. You know, the people, the community, the police force, the politics, it does play a role in everything. So I think it's a balancing act that people have lost faith in, because the vaccine salesman set them up at the Capitol, and the pillow salesman is running people in circles around this stuff, where it's like, it's all interesting. It's all necessary. We should look at it. We should try to make it as good as possible. But if the idea is just to throw a fit and go home, to me, that's a good way to lose the entire country. If millions of people are telling people not to vote, this election, if it's so, you know, in the books, why did Joe Biden fly to California? Why is it Obama and Bernie Sanders getting involved? They're scared. Okay. Election recalls are not easy to win. Arnold Schwarzenegger won an election recall. I think, you know, Larry Elder has a real shot at this. So I'm not saying it's going to be fair and perfect, but this idea that I'm seeing millions of conservatives just say, I'm giving up, it doesn't matter. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that that's true. But at the same time, I'm not saying that ID, except that all needs to be a part of the puzzle. But I don't know. That's just me from outside. I'm like, damn, a lot of people are just giving up. A lot of people don't care. I get why, and I understand the dynamic, but it's not like Democrats won the whole country. Like, oh my God, they won no, there's been huge wins. And I pray in Florida that, you know, Republicans haven't lost their will. Because imagine moving to Florida and being like, it doesn't matter. And then you don't vote. And then a Democrat wins. It's like, it doesn't matter. Then don't go to Florida. You know what I'm saying? Don't move there and act like it does matter. And they did vote for him. And say what you want about DeSantis, because there's definitely questions to be had about him. But him being there over a de Blasio or a Newsom type character, that probably helped save the country more than Trump even did in 2020. So I think there's a game to be played and a balance to be had. But you know, that's just my perspective, in my opinion on it. I know other people have yours, and, you know, it's up for debate, but I do think it's a double-edged sword, and I think people are not handling it the right way, but I don't really care. That's just my thoughts. I voted in the recall election, and I pray that Larry Elder wins, because if you want my opinion on that too, these other candidates have no shot. So it's like, not trying to be rude, but like, if I run for governor, I'm going to win. If I can't run for governor and win, I'm not going to pretend to win. I'm not fake. I don't know what to tell people. Like, I'm not going to run and raise all this money. You know how many people raise like millions and millions of dollars and don't do crap? Like, oh, I'm raising money, and then they lose by 40 points. I'm not trying to be rude, but like, I'm a winner. I'm not going in to win. I don't need to raise money. I could raise more money in a week than I've raised in my whole life if I said I was running for office. I don't want to do that. So everybody's right. You got 20 people running. I'm going to be governor. No, you're not. Like, I wouldn't pretend to be governor if I'm not. So you're like, you got to vote for this person. You got to vote for this person. Like, they're not even going to get 1% of the vote. You know, like, you got to really make a play, or you're just playing yourself. But that's, you know, that's, so you say what you want, but to me, Larry Elder's the only one with a shot. And also, out of everybody, I watched everybody speak. I watched everybody's opinion. To me, he's the most impressive too. He's not perfect. He's not flawless. There's a certain few things I don't agree with him on, but he's the biggest star by far out of all these people, and the best chance. And that's what I voted for. And in general, before I leave, don't worship these people to the point where you're afraid to ask them questions. If Larry Elder wins and he starts saying, well, I'm going to allow businesses to do vaccine mandates like a libertarian, it's okay to question Larry Elder. It's okay to point to Ron DeSantis and say, no, we want you to do what Ron DeSantis did. You know, Kristi Noem, we want you to do what Ron DeSantis did. We don't want you to just act like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay, because like Ron DeSantis said, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any scientific sense if they're not at least looking for exemptions, and importantly, you know, natural antibodies. That it's not scientific. So this is like the balance in my perspective. Then I really want to go is like, everybody's so angry or so fearful that they're running one way or the other. Like, and it's like, if you just calmly sit down, like, there's bits of truth that are all over the place, but I don't know. It's like, people are like, no, I'm not going to vote. Okay, whatever, fine. But you can't question. It's like, that's all wrong. Like, you're allowed to vote, but also it doesn't end with the voting. It's not like I voted, it's all over. Like, it's like, no, it's like, be okay with questioning Larry Elder, Ron DeSantis, and Trump. Anomaly, but you love Ron DeSantis so much, and I saw there's a bill that said they could force vaccinate people. Yeah, I read it's not a bill, it's an executive order, but in general, there is a clause in one of these emergency executive orders that he did that does say something pretty sneaky. I agree. So I talk about it, and Ron DeSantis should be presented with it, and people should bring it to his attention. But people can't balance this in their heads because either they love Ron DeSantis as my daddy DeSantis, he's my best friend, he's the new Trump, or it's like I hate him, he's one of them, and it's like I can't. Is there no middle ground anymore? Can you not be like, hey, he's doing a way better job than Gavin Newsom? However, I'm a little suspicious about this, and I don't trust him. That's fine. There is no middle ground anymore. And it's not just the left wing. The left wing's gone insane, but trying to talk to conservatives, it's either like one or the other. It's like, Mike Lindell, you got to go to frankspeech.com. Or it's like, I hate him. And I'm like, dude, okay, guys, it's okay to like, and I'm not trying to be overly judgmental, but it says more about you, I think, than it does them, where it's like, you got to be more balanced. DeSantis isn't going to save you. DeSantis isn't going to ruin your life. Trump's not going to save you. Trump's not going to ruin your life. Biden sucks, but it's like you got to then make a move. Like that's life. Like things are not going to always go your way. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be fair. Now the question is, what do you do about it? We going to sit on Twitter and cry for our whole lives? Am I going to sit on Instagram posting 1,000 stories a day, freaking out every day? That's a terrible way to live. That Joe Biden didn't do that to you. You made the decision to do that. It's like with liberals. It wasn't Donald Trump that was so terrible. Their reaction to Donald Trump was even worse. Trump can act that way. You don't have to like it, but how do you respond? That's how life is in the response. You respond like a psychopath. They're like, I hate Trump so much, I'm going to be insane. It's like, well, I like Trump more than I like liberals now. That's your fault. You didn't have to be that terrible. Liberals weren't that bad until Trump came in, and their response to it was to act like full-blown psychopaths. And it's like when I said, I don't want to get into specifics, but, I said not everybody, because I'm not like the liberal media where I'm like, everybody who worships Trump is in a cult. That's not what I'm saying. Most Trump supporters are awesome. Most conservatives are awesome. Most Republicans are awesome. However, there is this sect of like Trump cultists who act like a cult. Not everybody, a small percentage. And certain people get mad at that, and their response to me is to start acting like a cultist. Oh yeah, I'm not in a cult. And you're like, it only bothers people who it relates to. The Trump supporters who don't act like that are like, no, anomaly, I hear you. I've been to 3 Trump rallies, but like, there are some people acting pretty weird. Or like, dude, I voted for Trump twice. I have like 5 Trump hats. But no, I hear what you're saying. It's the people that are like, oh, I'm not in a cult. You're a Democrat. I'm going to. It's like, get over yourself. It's time to self-reflect because I'm not like a liberal. If you say, hey, man, I have a liberal friend, man, liberals are truly going crazy. Yeah. The ones who aren't crazy, like my friend, will say, yeah, dude, like, I'm not a Republican, but like, this is crazy. Like, he texted me the other day. He's vaccinated. He's liberal. He's like, it's crazy what's going on, isn't it? He says that because he's not crazy. If you say, hey, liberals are going crazy, who do you think's going to get mad? The not crazy liberals? No, they're going to be like, oh, no, yeah, this is crazy. It's the crazy liberals that get mad. We're not crazy. You're crazy. Does this look like crazy to you? Does this look like crazy to you? I voted for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Tax the rich. Yeah, that's what they say. Tax the rich. And then they steal money from working people. I remember that whole scheme. I was 25. I was 26. I thought Bernie Sanders was going to save my life. Tax the rich, tax the rich. I lived in Los Angeles. All of a sudden, I'm getting $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for health insurance that I don't want, that I can't afford. And now they're penalizing me in my taxes. And I'm like, shit, I thought we were taxing the rich, Bernie. I'm not rich. I had freaking $5,000, $4,000. I had barely any money saved. If that, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And he's stealing money for me. Gavin Newsom with the Bernie Sanders, universal health care policy. Everybody gets it, but you can't opt out. There's no opt. I don't got money. I thought we were taxing the rich, AOC. No, they're taxing working people. They just scream tax the rich, and then they steal money. They say equal rights, and then they treat you like this. Equal rights for women? Those women are not equal. How do people not get it? They're not tax. Give me a break. All right, I got to go. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. 48 minutes. We'll keep it cool. My Telegram page, t.me/DreamRareChat. It's in both of the descriptions, t.me/DreamRareChat. Thank you to everybody on Telegram. I give a quick 5-10 minute, hey, I'm going live in 5 minutes, going live in 10 minutes because I'm so spontaneous. So if you want to see when I go live, I posted on Telegram, my new video out tomorrow. I'm talking Ron DeSantis, what he's talking about, etc. It's all good. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to everybody buying the hats. GodBlessHats.com. That's GodBlessHats.com. Alaska, shout out. I'm not from Alaska, but I went there one time. It's cool. I just realized I'm all Alaska'd out, so I just wanted to give a shout out. And one last time, if you're a liberal, wearing a women's rights narcissistic dress, smiling while women in the background can't even show their faces, that's not equal. Stop stealing my tax money and claiming you're taxing the rich. I'm not that wealthy. And especially when I was super, super broke, you were still stealing my money. So stop lying. God bless you guys. I'll be back soon.